Now we can see the types of demand. There are three types of demand: price demand, income demand, cross demand. Price demand explains the relationship between price of a commodity and demand for the commodity. There is an inverse relationship between price and demand. In the price demand curve, slopes downwards from left to right. Next, we can see the income demand. Income demand explains the functional relationship between the income of a consumer and demand for goods. Generally, if the level of income rises, the consumer purchases more of goods. If the level of income decreases, the purchases less quantity of goods. It means there is a direct proportional relationship between income of the consumer and demand of the goods. So normally the income demand curve depends from upwards from left to right. In case of superior goods and inferior goods, we can say the income demand curve are two types. In case of superior goods or normal goods, the income demand curve depend upwards from left to right. Superior goods mean best quality goods. In case of the inferior goods, the demand curve slopes downwards from left to right. Inferior goods means then low quality goods. The next one is cross demand. It shows the relationship between price of one commodity and demand for another commodity. It means the demand for one commodity not only depend upon its price but also price of its substitute goods and complementary goods. The cross demand curve is of two types. It is upward from left to right in case of substitute goods and it slopes downwards from left to right in case of complementary goods. Substitute goods. If one good is used in the price of other goods to satisfy the same want, they are called substitute goods. Example, tea and coffee, pen and pencil, etc. In case of substitute goods, there is a direct proportional relationship between price of one commodity and demand for another commodity. So the crossed demand curve in this slope curve upwards from left to right. Complementary goods. If two or more goods are usually jointly to satisfy the single want, they are called complementary goods. Example, milk, sugar, tea powder, etc. are complementary for tea. Cement, bricks, iron are complementary for construction work. In this case of complementary, there is inverse relationship between price of one commodity and demand for another commodity. So, demand curve slopes downwards from left to right. Next, we can see the changes in the demand and changes in quantity demanded. If there is a change in the determinants of demand, then leads to the change in demand. There is a changes in demand are two types. There are extension and contraction of demand, increase and decrease of demand. Extension and contraction of demand when all other things remain constant. If there is a change in the price, that leads to the change in demand. These changes in demand are called extension and contraction of demand. When the price is decreased, the demand is extended. When the price is increased, the demand is contracted. To explain the extension and contraction of demand, a single demand curve is enough. Next one is increase and decrease of demand. When the price is constant, if there is a change in other determinants, then leads to a change in demand. These changes in demand are called increase and decrease of demand. It explains the increase and decrease of demand. Single demand curve is not enough. It means new demand curve are formed. When the demand is increased, the new demand curve is formed towards right to the curve or proceeding demand curve. In the same way, when the demand is decreased, the new demand curve is formed towards left to old demand curve or percepting demand curve. Next, we can see the elasticity of demand. Now we can see the meaning of elasticity of demand. Elasticity means sensitiveness or responsiveness. Elasticity of demand means response in demand. The elasticity of demand explains change in demand due to the change in the determinants of demand. And also we can see the types of elasticity of demand. There are three types of elasticity of demand. The first one is price elasticity of demand. Second one is income elasticity of demand. And third one is cross elasticity of demand. So in the next schedule we can see the explanation for three types of elasticity of demand. Elasticity of demand and determinants of elasticity of demand.